All right. Okay. I am totally excited. I have been so tired of building this course, you don't even know. And to know that after this video, we are halfway done is like amazing for the first course. So we already went through what boundaries mean, the types of clauses. So we're really kind of looking for what fits. And we're going to do all 9 questions because they're not long. All right, here we go. The sign, for the foundations, I've left lots of bold print, triggers, even hints, but for the next sections, you won't see any bold prints. Everything will just be just how it is. So this is going to talk about subject verb boundary. The scientist Rosalind Franklin's photographs of DNA blank critical clues for the double helix model. So we're kind of explaining, did it comma provided, comma, provided semicolon. So remember that the comma comes first if it can stand alone. So the scientist Rosalind photographs of DNA. There's no word. So we know that this word is supposed to be provided. We just don't know what type of provided. And it's going to be the one without any commas because in order for it to be comma provided, there has to have already been a sentence in there. And we wouldn't start with a verb anyway after the comma. It wouldn't be provided afterwards because we still need to know what it provided. We need to know what comes after the verb. And same thing for the semicolon. The semicolon is used when we're separating complete ideas. Critical clues for the double helix model is not a complete idea. And the photographs of DNA provided is also not a complete idea. So provided without any punctuation is the best answer. All right, here, I probably should take off all of these. Well, if I ignore them, then you're going to get the answer. Verb object boundary. Galileo observed the mountains of Jupiter and blank, the geocentric model of the universe. So it's not going to be and comma, because remember, we're not going to really have a comma after and. There will be some in the higher level questions where there's not really going to be much instances that you would have that. So it's not going to be comma challenged. All right, that's a no. I don't know why I highlighted it in yellow. And challenged, this is the one it's going to be. Okay, because he observed the moods and he challenged. If we just put challenged here, it's not going to be semicolon because we don't know who challenged it. We have to have Galileo as part of the sentence. And again, rarely will we have a comma afterwards for these short sentences unless we have some kind of descriptor phrase, which we don't. So it's just going to be B again, challenged. All right. The Parthenon symbolized the city's devotion to blank patron deity. So it's. This is all going to smush together. We can't do its comma patron deity because if we did, and it's like it stops at its. It stops the comma. The Parthenon symbolizes the city's devotion to its. It's what? These punctuation makes us stop. And so we can't have punctuation at the end. So again, this is going to be letter B. All right. So the main thing is that we really can't have punctuation coming right before like 2 single words unless there's like a comma before and a comma after, which you'll get to the harder questions. But for these simple questions, it's really, we need to be more mindful. All right, let's see how this one. Here we've got the telescope revealed moons around Jupiter. That's an independent clause. That's a complete thought. It changed beliefs about Earth's place in the cosmos. Also a complete thought. So because of that, we're going to put the word and, because it's not going to be which, because those aren't going to allow us to combine. And also notice how there's a comma there. So we wouldn't do comma and comma. We wouldn't do and which it changed. Now, if we didn't have the word it could be which changed beliefs about Earth's place in the cosmos. But it is there in there as like a subject. So because of that, we can't use either of the whiches. because it's already got the subject. The whiches kind of add a dependent fact, not an independent fact. I know you'll get more used to it. See how great my standard English is right now? All right, dependent to independent. Although the Great Fire of London destroyed much of the city, comma, the rebuilding began almost immediately. So here, it's just going to be A without it, because see how there's a punctuation here? We wouldn't have an immediate punctuation following. Now, those could potentially have been after the word city, but it still would have needed to have a complete clause or something afterwards. So in this case, the rebuilding began almost immediately is what needs to be there. And this relates to that rule about the phrase, so that if the beginning thing is dependent, then we have to have the comma. And so because although the Great Fire of London destroyed much of the city, that's dependent. We need to know the rest of it. So that's why it has to be comma. The rebuilding began almost immediately. All right, lists and series. Remember, with lists and series, we're always going to have a comma before the and, but never after. So this is going to be letter A. This comma right here is sufficient. We would never have a comma after an and like that. Never, ever, ever. All right. Marie Curie, who discovered polonium and radium, pioneered research. See how this comma and this comma here, we could just say Marie Curie pioneered research on radioactivity. This is when we need a comma before and after, but this comma is already here. So that's why it's not going to be who like that. Marie Curie is also a person. So because she's a person, it can't be C or D. It has to be A. Who discovered polonium? And if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize, scientists. All right, ending. The Wright brothers achieved the first powered flight at Kitty Hawk in 1903. That is a statement. It's not a question unless, on a rare occasion, it might be the Wright brothers achieved the first powered flight at Kitty Hawk in 1903. Like with all of that, you could have a question mark, but we're going to just say it's a period. It's not going to be a semicolon or a comma because nothing comes after it. In order for it to be a semicolon or comma, we have to have another phrase after it. The philosopher John Locke's writings blank influenced. Oh, this word influence should have been come out because I already had it there. Apologies. The philosopher John Locke's writings influenced democratic thought in Europe and America. Okay. Again, we have to have some kind of verb. Our verb is influenced. Because influence is our verb, we're not going to put any extra junk around it. No commas, no semicolons. Because even if we just did the philosopher John's writings influenced, what did it influence? All right. So that in and of itself is dependent. We have to have democratic thought in Europe. It tells us what it influenced. Yay, us. Foundations is done. I'm so proud of you. Stay tuned for more. Keep working hard. Don't forget to take the assessments. I love you. See you later.